Hey, my name's Alexis.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're about to listen to a fire message called
Awkward.
Kind of like
we
are.
Oh yeah, we kind of just made that awkward low key.
Oopsies.
It's okay though.
It's fine.
It's gonna be great. I hope you guys enjoy it. While I have you here, don't forget to follow us on our Instagram.
What? Instagram? IG?
The IG at
IG.
Cedarcrest_middle school.
Cedarcrest.
For all your information. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, comment,
Cedarcrest
turn
students.
on
Post notifs.
whatever
I
you
get
wanna do.
those.
Yeah. So enjoy the message. See you after.
See ya.
What is up, Cedarcrest Middle School? We haven't met yet. My name is Justin, and I am pumped to spend a little bit of your day with you today. Hey, we're in this conversation or collection of conversations called Awkward. And let's be honest for a minute. There are things that are really awkward to talk about. But I think that the church is actually the best place for us to begin these conversations, because the church should be a space where you and I feel safe to have conversations about the things that are weird and awkward. Last week we began a conversation around the idea of attraction and desires. And what I want to do today is I want to continue that conversation as we talk about relationships, dating relationships, and friendships. Because for some of us, we're really curious. We have a lot of questions around relationships. We're like, ooh, this is interesting. This is new. I want to know more. For some of us, we're like, I'm embarrassed to even talk about it. And then there is some of us who are so uninterested in relationships of any kind that we're like, what's the point? Well, the point is this: whether you're very interested, confused, or not interested at all, at some point, you're going to become very interested. And if you're very interested and still confused, you're going to end up making decisions and choices that are going to lead you away from the life that Jesus said he came to bring, which is life to the full. Now, I want to be super clear. Being interested and not interested and confused, that's normal. It's totally normal to feel that way. And no matter how you feel about relationships right now, God has a plan for you. God already knows the plans that he has for you when it comes to relationships, friendships, and romantic relationships, because God cares about you. And in fact, God made you just the way that you are. So he's not surprised. He's not surprised that you're interested in some things and not others. He's not surprised that you're interested in things that maybe others are like, I'm not really even sure what that's all about. He's not surprised that you feel the way that you feel. But what God wants to do is to invite us into a journey where we can begin to process our thoughts and feelings and behaviors, our attractions and our desires in a healthy and positive way, so that we can experience that best life that Jesus talks about. When I was in middle school, I was obsessed with soccer, like to the point that my nickname was Soccer. See, when I was a kid, there was this brand called Umbro. And if you were a soccer enthusiast, you would wear it. My closet literally only consisted of Umbro. Everything I owned was Umbro. I had every pair of Umbro shorts known to man, the checkerboard ones and the non-checkerboard ones. It didn't matter. I had it all and I was loving it until I realized, wait, I don't own anything but Umbro. See, it's okay to be passionate about something. It's okay to be highly interested in something, whether it's sports or fashion or art or music or movies or being outside or video games. None of that matters. What matters, however, is how we respond to that. See, whatever you're highly interested in, you're probably going to want to spend a lot of time talking about. And that's great. See, we put a lot of energy towards the things that we are passionate about. And while nothing is wrong with having a passion or an interest, the problem comes in when our passion turns into an obsession. I want to define the word passion for a second. The word passion is a love and excitement for something that doesn't cause us to ignore everything else in our lives. See, we can devote time towards that passion. We can devote our energy, our resources, but it doesn't pull us away from other things. Now, obsession, on the other hand, is something that takes over our lives, controls our thoughts, makes poor decisions, and helps us to act in ways we normally would not. See, if we're not careful, our desires can become obsessions. And what we need to learn how to do is to navigate our passions so they don't become obsessions. Learn to navigate our attractions and our desires so that they don't become obsessions. We mentioned last week that the goal is to live a life of integrity. A way of considering integrity is simply being whole or undivided. It'd be like if you were to have all of your thoughts put up on a jumbotron behind you. Like, would you go, ooh, people don't know that's true, and in fact they think the opposite of me? That would be living without integrity. But if you're like, hey, listen, everyone knows that I love this because I love this, and that's great. When we choose to live a life of integrity with our attractions and our desires, we then are conscientious with how we respect ourselves, how we respect others, and ultimately how we respect God, because the image of God is placed on you and me. We represent God to each other and to ourselves. Now, there's this guy named Paul. He's considered to be one of the greatest missionaries of all time. He started churches all over the place. He would write letters to these churches that he was a part of, and one of them was to a church in Corinth. Now, the first letter he writes them is labeled 1 Corinthians. And in this letter, he talks about a lot of things, but one of the things that he talks about is how we can find freedom from the things that ultimately try to control us. He says that there are things that we can do, but if we're not careful, we will allow them to control us. And here's what he says in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, starting in verse 12. He says, I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. See, the Message version goes on to say that some things are legally okay, but that doesn't mean that they are spiritually appropriate. The law might say it's not a bad thing, but God might say it's not a good thing. And if we're not careful, we're going to become slaves to the things that we once considered passions, and it becomes an obsession. See, the older we get, the more opportunity that we have to try new things, more freedom we get. Our driver's license, and it allows us to get in the car and to go places without mom and dad. We get phones, and now all of a sudden we can use apps and all these things that we didn't necessarily have access to before. And the reason that our parents give us this freedom is because they are trusting us to be wise with the things that we have. And when it comes to wisdom, we can bring that now into our attractions and our desires. As we get older, as we mature, we're going to be given more experiences that will allow us to learn about, think about, and then interact with the things that we might be passionate about, that we might be attracted to, that we might desire to do. See, just because we're able to do something or we want to try something doesn't mean that it's the best thing for us. Remember, Jesus came to give us life and life to the full, but we have an enemy who comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And when we become obsessed with something, the line between what is healthy and unhealthy slowly becomes blurred. And all of a sudden, we can't quite tell the difference. See, just because we can do something doesn't mean we should do something. See, remember, Jesus said that we have an enemy who comes to kill, steal, and destroy, but I have come that they may have life and have it to the full, that you may have life and have it to the full. See, our desires and our attractions are a part of the way that God designed us so that we can live the best life possible, the one that God has in mind for us. And we have freedom to express our God-given interests, our God-given passions, our God-given desires in a way that honors ourselves, others, and God. In other words, let's practice integrity. And integrity, remember, is the state of being whole and undivided. It's being the same in this space as we are in this space. It means that we're not acting one way with one group and one way with another. So how do we live a life free and full in a way that honors God, honors ourselves, and honors others? Let's start by doing this. Let's start by recognizing the obsessions we have and then realizing it's simply a passion gone unhealthy. When we realize that we have a passion that's gone a little bit too far, we can do the next thing, which is create boundaries. Because boundaries help us stay in that healthy space. We just bought a fence up at our house because my son, without a boundary, runs into the neighbor's yard. But now I'm comfortable letting him run around the backyard without keeping a hawk eye on him because I know he will stay inside the boundaries. A great way to begin to create boundaries is to have conversations with people who you know love God, care about you, and have proven over time to be trustworthy. See, that's why we do life groups. To have those conversations, to have that trusted adult, that trusted leader speak into our lives. When we guard our passions and our interests from turning into obsessions, it helps us have better relationships. It helps us have healthier relationships, not just for right now, but for down the road. Too many people that I have talked to are like, man, if only I had set boundaries when I was younger, then my passions wouldn't have turned into obsessions and they wouldn't have led me to places that I don't actually want to go. Now, I realize having these types of conversations can be awkward, but it is important because they help us take steps towards living the life that God has for us. See, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do something. So here's the question that I want to ask as we wrap things up. Is there anything in your life that may have gone from a passion to an obsession? Is there anything that was once a healthy passion that is now turned into an unhealthy obsession? What is that? Recognize it and then create a boundary. And you will see God working in your life in ways you didn't think possible. Until next time, guys, peace.
Yo guys, it's Isabel.
And it's Alexis.
Again, we're
Part
back.
2.
Hope you guys enjoyed the message. I did. Thought it was fire.
I thought it was
as always.
awkward, but fire.
Right. Sometimes we have to have those.
Yeah, we have to have those
though.
conversations. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, don't forget to remember to follow us on the IG.
On the socials.
At Cedarcrest_middle school and follow our YouTube channel.
Yes, Cedarcrest
And not
students.
follow it. Subscribe, like, comment,
Post notice.
turn on post notifications. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Peace.